Today I'm going to be showing you how you can earn passive income with the Trader Joe decentralized exchange. We're going to be taking a look amongst Arbitrum as well as Avalanche today. I will tell you the majority of the pools that we will look at with solid returns are going to be on the Avax network, and that's just because there's a lot of different opportunities over there right now where you can pair Avax with different blue chip assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's also stuff like Joe Avax, which is a utility and value driven liquidity pool because Joe is driven by the actual Trader Joe platform, and they do not give out any more Trader Joe token incentives anymore. Anyways, if you guys do enjoy content where we're just fully transparent, really walking you through our process when it comes to finding different liquidity pools, make sure to drop a like and subscribe and notifications turned on because we do not bullshit you here on this channel. We show you the good, bad, and ugly and our full thought process when we're diving into liquidity pools. Anyways, with that being said, I want to go ahead and dive right into the different liquidity pools that I would be taking a look at over on the Trader Joe decentralized exchange, the risk that would be associated with these, and what type of range I would actually choose for these pools. The first one being Avax to USDC. Now, the reason why I choose Avax to USDC is because it has a very strong APR at roughly 130% just by using the past 7 days worth of data. So what exactly does that mean? Well, that means over the past 7 days, this has done about 130% annualized, but keep in mind that is an estimation based on all liquidity providers in the pool. This right here is a concentrated liquidity pool, which means that the range that I choose for my liquidity position could be different than the range that you choose or the range that other liquidity providers choose as well. So the thing that we have to take into account is what size of range do we have, because the broader we have our range, the lower the return that we're going to get, whereas the tighter that we have our range, the higher the return that we're going to get. Now I can see that a lot of liquidity providers have a range of roughly 23.4 all the way to roughly 24 basically. So they have a pretty tight range. My next thought is, well, what's the current price of Avax in terms of US dollars? And the reason why I look at US dollars is because this is trading with USDC. So it is important to look at the US dollar price in this example. And the cool thing is Avax is number 13 by market cap. So that's a $9.6 billion market cap token estimated to do around a 130% APR. Now, if we look at just the past 7 days of Avax, you can see it went all the way from basically 23 as a low all the way up to a peak of roughly 25.5. So that's not too big of a price movement right there, which is good. And that means that this is a great pool while the market is chopping sideways. The other risk that you have with something like Avax to USDC is as the price moves up, you'll be laddered out of USDC. Notice how all the little green bars right here, or I should say bins, show full USDC. That's because as the price keeps on going up, this Avax that's in these bins will be shifted into USDC because people are buying the Avax out of the bins and they're putting USDC in the bins. And that's why the current price bin has a portion of Avax and a good amount of USDC. That means that we're about to move to the next bin because almost all the Avax has been bought out of that bin. Now, the cool thing about Trader Joe as well is you can see the most active bins traded. So what I would personally want to do is take a look at the past 7 days and see which bins are most often being traded to make sure that I am structuring my range properly. And as you can see, the most traded bin has been roughly 23.8 basically. So that means when we're structuring our range, we'd want to target this area right over here of roughly 23.5 all the way up to maybe 24. That would be a pretty solid range. And if we really wanted to, we can weight more towards the current prices by using a curve liquidity shape. So if we did 23.5 and then all the way up until 24, basically, this would be a very tight range. Remember, you do have to actively manage this. But with that being said, if we were to deploy, let's just say some Avax as well as some USDC, we'd essentially be able to create like a curve right over here. Now, the reason why we'd want to do curve in this instance is because that bin 23.8 is the most actively traded bin, which means something like curve is going to put the majority of our liquidity on current prices and less on the outlier prices. Something like spot, that is going to just distribute it equally across all the prices in our range. Bid ask, that's if you're wanting to ladder out of a specific asset or something along those lines. So that's the Avax to USDC liquidity pool. Remember, as the price moves up, we are shifted out of Avax into USDC. We're essentially selling our Avax. As the price moves down, we are buying Avax with our USDC. So we're shifted out of USDC into Avax. That's just a risk that you need to be aware of. The next one I'm going to be taking a look at is Ethereum to Avax. This is quite literally one of the best liquidity pools on Trader Joe right now. It's showcasing roughly a 190% APR. This historically does roughly, I want to say about 100% APR because I often check this. And this, you could go with a relatively broad range of 97 to something like 99. And I do say broad, but that's broad on Trader Joe. Keep that in mind. And you can zoom out to the past 7 days, look at the bins that are actively traded. And it's right here at around 97.7. So that's kind of right over here, this little area. So having some liquidity there would be great as well. But the important part is you need to look at the historical data. This is most definitely one of the ones that I would deploy into. Even if this was doing a 40% APR, I would be deployed into Ethereum to Avax because Avax has a pretty strong correlation to the market. Along with it has a lot of room to grow, especially with what they're doing over on the Avalanche network. They have BTCB to Avax as well. That's about a 130% APR. Historically, this one will do about a 75% APR. It's just since we have a good amount of volume volume today. That's why it's showcasing such a high return. And once again, you would just want to run the same exact strategy where you zoom out, you look at the bins traded over the past 7 days, and you can kind of guesstimate what you want to select your range as. Remember, we are estimating over here. We kind of have to estimate because there's no tools out there like Metrics Finance where we can just plop in our range and see what type of return that we can get. If you guys are interested in seeing Metrics Finance support Trader Joe, please let us know down below in the comment section. We would love to support it. We just want to make sure that there's actual interest there. And really quickly, I just want to go over why I'm here, why I'm talking to you today about Trader Joe on YouTube. And the reason why is because I built a company known as Builder Wealth, where we aim to help onboard as many retail users as possible into the DeFi space. So at any point in your DeFi journey, even if you're watching this video and you are confused and you want some support in your DeFi journey, make sure to head over to builderwealth.com. The link will be right down below this video, and check out what we have to offer. Our main offering is this DeFi Legacy program, which is currently on waitlist, but basically this is where we work one-on-one with you to help you build up a passive income portfolio through decentralized finance. We've done this with over 150 different people through our tried and tested roadmap. But of course, back into the video, the next thing that I want to take a look at is some other pools that I would highly consider. This one over here, Avax to BTC.B, is showcasing 245% APR, but remember, if we hover over this, about 147% is from rewards. So they're providing a good amount of Avax rewards just for people providing liquidity in this pool. But the thing is, the reward range is 1 bin, which means that you would have to go with a 1 bin range in order to get these rewards, which is not sustainable in my opinion. But what you'll notice that rewards APR is 46.83%. So if you go with a broader range, whenever the price crosses over that bin, you are going to make some rewards. Or if a portion of your liquidity includes this bin, you're also going to make some rewards. So if you really wanted to, during periods of like very, very low volatility, you can toss everything on 1 bin, and then you can, when volatility kicks back in, obviously go with a broader range and just kind of actively manage this. And that is one thing that I will mention about Trader Joe. You are going to have to be more active on something like Trader Joe as opposed to something like Uniswap. And then of course, the last one that I would take a look at over here is going to be the one that includes Joe to Avax. This one over here is doing about a 57% APR, but Joe and Avax are highly correlated, which means that you can do a pretty tight range and capture that super high APR. You can see the majority of the people providing liquidity on Joe to Avax are just on this single price. And over the past 24 hours, that is the only price that has been traded. And if we zoom out to something like the past 7 days, there are very few prices traded. What that tells you is there is a lot of trading activity on these prices because the pool doesn't really go out of this range. The majority of people place liquidity right on 1 tick because that provides, number one, the highest return, but number two, it's very correlated. So there's not much divergence loss right here. So that's going to be over on Avalanche. The next thing I want to take a look at is over on Arbitrum to take a look at some of these opportunities. Now, I was personally deployed into a USD plus to USDT position, making about 40% APR on $20,000, $30,000 of stablecoins. Pretty solid returns. I exited out of that one because the incentives kind of died out a little bit, and that pool is right over here. Now it's doing about a 14% APR, so not nearly as good. But what is doing good is some of these other pools where you can pair stuff like Joe and ETH together. This is doing very solid. It's doing roughly 85% APR from the fees, and then you also have the incentives, which is 528% APR. Remember, that's that 1 bin, so you'd want to go with a broader range at the start. This is most definitely one of the other pools that I would be taking a look at as well for my personal portfolio. As far as the Ethereum to USDC, Ethereum to USDT ones, they're not anything too crazy. I just prefer to be over on Uniswap because I do have automation tools like Arbitrum Finance. I can use tools like Metrics Finance as well. But with that being said, some of these pools like ARB to ETH are most definitely doing better over here on Trader Joe, or some of the ones like Zero to ETH also doing pretty solid on Trader Joe, 205% APR. So these are all pools that I would personally be looking into for deploying capital. I will say there aren't as many good returns over on the Arbitrum network as there are over on the Avalanche network, and mainly that's because Trader Joe initially deployed their platform over on Avalanche network. That's also where the majority of the TVL is. Over on Arbitrum, you have dexes like Ramses, Camelot, as well as Uniswap, and the thing is, those all have more liquidity than Trader Joe. Whereas over here on Avalanche, Trader Joe is the market leader with $80 million of TVL. I'm about to deploy another $50,000 of capital, and I will keep you guys updated with what I actually end up deploying my money into, so make sure to stay tuned by dropping a like, subscribing, and notifications turned on, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.